Hello, it's Friday and it's the last day of home learning before half term starts tomorrow. So let's have a great day of home learning this morning before you start your half term tomorrow. So today I thought we could have a bit of fun with our poetry writing and have a go at writing some limericks. I'm sure some of you will have done this before, either in school or maybe before Chesswood when you were at first school. But I thought it would be just something sort of quite fun to do on our last day of half term. So there are lots of examples for you to look at before you get going today. There are some written examples that were written by Edward Lear, who's a very famous poet who was alive in Victorian times and wrote a lot of nonsense poetry. That's what it was called. And it wasn't actually necessarily aimed at children. A lot of it was aimed at adults as well. I think particularly his limericks, they were aimed at adults, but children can really enjoy them as well. And so have a look at those. They're quite old-fashioned, but some of them are still quite funny. Have a look at those that were written in the 1840s, 1850s, and then there are two videos for you to look at today as well. One is someone called Mr. Peake doing 7 of his own limericks on YouTube, and there are some funny sort of cartoon drawings to go with them. Some of them are quite silly, I have to say, but some of them are quite funny as well. And then there's another video which is a man called Michael Palin, who some of you may have heard of. He's a very famous comedian, writer, TV presenter. He's done a lot of travel shows on TV that you might have seen your parents watching. He has obviously written a book of limericks. I'm not quite sure how long ago this was recorded because it's Christmas time, but I don't even know if it was last Christmas or the Christmas before. But I have said start at 2 minutes with that video. And you can sit and watch the beginning if you want, but it's really just like an introduction and him talking about why he wrote the book and things. So if you start at 2 minutes, that's when he starts reading out some of his limericks. And I think that some of them are really quite funny. Some of them made me laugh out loud. Some of them made me laugh out loud. They're really silly, and that's what limericks should be. So there's loads of examples for you to look at, Edward Lear and 2 videos. There is a checklist to help you to remember what a limerick is, how to write one. There's also a grammar lesson which you should do first today, all about rhyming and spelling patterns that rhyme. And there's even a link to an online rhyming dictionary, which will help you if you've got a word you want to put in your poem and you need to think of some words that rhyme with it. So I'm going to have a go at writing a limerick for you, and mine is going to be about someone in year 6. Because the first line of your poem, of your limerick, you'll see on the checklist, should always end here with a name or a place. So I was going to start, there was a year 6 child called, I'm going to use quite an old-fashioned word, but I also thought it rhymed with lots of things, called Pam. So the first line is always, there was a do. And I did put, there once was a year 6 child called Pam, but it got too long, so you've got to keep reading it out loud and see what the rhythm sounds like. So the first word of the last line has to be the name of somebody, or it could be the name of a place. There once was a young boy from Worthing. Worthing's quite hard to rhyme with though. And then the second line has to be the same length with a word that rhymes with Pam. So I decided there was a year 6 child called Pam who tripped on a plateful of ham. So what I did there, I thought of words that rhymed with Pam first, and I just wrote them down on a piece of paper. And if you couldn't think of any, you could also look at the rhyming dictionary for today that's online. There was a year 6 child called Pam who tripped on a plateful of ham. That's how the rhythm has to go. And the last word of the limerick, so the last word of line 5, has to rhyme with Pam and ham. So what I suggest on the checklist is that you do lines 1, 2 and 5 first. Then have a go at 3 and 4 and then change line 5 if you need to. So I was thinking, what else rhymes with Pam, ham, spam, cam, like a webcam, glam, sham, damn. Anyway, there are lots. And I decided to go with glam. So actually, I did have a line. I had something like, she said she wanted to look glam, but then it didn't work with the 2 lines I wrote here. So let me tell you how I finished it. There was a Year 6 child called Pam who tripped on a plateful of ham. It went in her hair, and her clothes. It went on her hair, I think, and her clothes everywhere. I can't fit it all in. And then my last line no longer worked, so I had to change it. So, she didn't exactly look glam. And so you can write as many of these as you want today, and like I said, have a go. It's all on the checklist. Do this line, and this line. Go back and write these 2, and then maybe change that one if you need to. There was a Year 6 child called Pam who tripped on a plateful of ham. It went on her hair and her clothes everywhere, so she didn't exactly look glam. So have fun with those today. Write as many as you want. Maybe you could publish your favourite one, your best one. You could write it up really nicely with some illustrations, a bit like Edward Lear does on his limericks. I was just thinking actually, what I've put up on the website doesn't have any of Edward Lear's pictures, which is a bit of a shame, but you could Google Edward Lear and see how he used to have his limericks with his illustrations around them. And then you could perform it like Michael Palin was doing in his video and send it in for your teacher. We'd love to see it, and I think it would be amazing to have some limerick reading on Chestwood TV next time. Okay, have a fantastic half term, and I'll see you after the break. Bye.